Thank you for coming, everybody. Let's call the meeting to order. Everyone just please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Joe, can you read number 2?
Approval of minutes. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby accepts the minutes of June 28th, 2024 special meeting and July 2nd, 2024 reorganization regular meeting as submitted.
Thanks, Joe. Could I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. All right, superintendent's report, Dr. Criscione.
Thank you. So first I want to get started by going over the beginning is our school safety plan, our district-wide school safety plan. So a little over 30 days ago, we posted our draft of our district-wide school safety plan. Our team met early in July, made up of different stakeholders across the district. We updated and went through the latest state regulations and added a lot to our state plan. And so we had gotten some feedback from our different stakeholders. We sent it out to our families, to our staff, and took into a lot of the comments that we received, and we have added it to our agenda this evening, and I'm going to ask the board if there's no other comments. We just wanted to post this out there, and if it pleases the board, we'd like to approve this evening so that we can then submit this to the state. So, are there any comments on our plan at this time? No? If not, I'll move forward into the next spot. At this time, I'm going to ask, we have a company joining us today, Energia, and they're going to talk a little bit about an energy performance contract that we've been working with them on. So, gentlemen, if you would, I can forward this for you if you like, unless you would like the clicker. Okay? I don't know if it'll work on ours. Okay.
What's that? Okay. Sit.
No, up to you.
I'll stand. I'm a stander, actually. Sorry about that. Clicker. Okay. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening. My name is Justin Benoit. I am a senior project manager with Energia. I'm joined by Matt Ferdina from Amoresco as well, and tonight we're here to give a bit of an update to the board on the energy performance contract opportunity that we've been working on with the district. Definitely want to note, going to go through some information that you may or may not be familiar with, I'll say. So if there are any questions as we're going through everything, please feel free to stop me. I'll really open with kind of a background on my company, Energia. I'll touch on what energy performance contracting is, and then go into some activity that we've taken with the district to date. And then I will pass it over to Matt to get into some of the more project-specific details about the opportunity here. So the first thing I'd note is that Energia, my company, is really a owner's representative engineering company that, you know, the work that we do is exclusively working with school districts on what's known as energy performance contract projects. And so we've been around our company for about 25 years, and for the past 20 years, that is the exclusive work that we've done, working with schools to help bring these energy initiatives into districts. And so really I'll say we kind of serve in two facets, one being more of an owner's representative. You can think of us as like a third-party energy consultant, and the other being an engineer of record. So similar to an architect on a traditional capital project, we would be responsible for submission of all of the plans and specifications and engineering documents to the state education department for approval. Again, I mentioned we have decades of experience in helping school districts and over 130 projects that we've been a part of. So with all that being said, what is energy performance contracting? And again, some of you may be familiar with this concept, others maybe not. excuse me, the first thing I like to note typically is that this is not a new concept, nor is it a concept that Energia invented by any means. It's something that was actually started by the federal government back in the 1980s. And since every state has adopted their own legislation, and you could see there the New York State Energy Law Article 9 is the New York legislation associated with performance contracting. But I think the simplest way to explain it is a facility improvement project. But the key difference or the key factor about energy performance contract projects is that these projects, on one hand, they generate guaranteed energy savings. And through this process, you're able to then leverage those guaranteed energy savings as the funding source for the upgrades themselves. So in that sense, it's a little bit different than a traditional capital project. You're not going out to the taxpayers to raise money for those projects. You're able to take your existing utility budget, reduce that line item ultimately, and then use those energy savings to then in turn pay for the upgrades that you would have received. I think really the key here is that those energy savings are guaranteed. And so I'll introduce Matt in a moment, but the energy services company, in this case Amoresco, who installs the work, is also the one that guarantees the energy savings. And so after construction is complete, there's a process known as measurement verification where the ESCO, along with Energia, helps to measure and verify that those savings came to fruition. If they did not, if there's any shortfall, the energy services company is on the hook for making the district whole for the difference. And again, the guarantee really is the key, again, because you're able to use it as a funding source, so you have to know that those savings are going to come to fruition. Just a couple other benefits I'd note. These are fixed price projects. Again, because the savings pay for the entirety of the cost, we can't have any cost increases without the savings to then justify that cost. So there's no change orders. In addition, there's no low bid requirements. Again, really because these are really an engineered solution. We're looking to maximize energy savings, and so we have every incentive to use the top tier equipment to make sure that it's installed properly, to make sure that it's commissioned correctly, and also to make sure that your staff is trained on how to properly operate and maintain those systems. And so for that reason, you're able to avoid some of the typical procurement policies that would be required in other projects. And then the last bullet there, I'll just note community engagement. It's really just speaking to a lot of the success that we've had, my company, again, Energia, in demonstrating to the community the great things that you're doing. One, on the environmental front, really doing a project that's laser focused on reducing your carbon footprint, driving energy efficiency and all of that. But also it's a great way to show that you're looking for alternative financing solutions to offset what would be a future capital project by doing some of that work through a self-funding project. And I do have a graphic on the next slide, and then I will pause for some questions maybe, but I think this kind of gives a little bit of a snapshot as to how energy performance contracts, EPCs, work. And so I'll give an example, but you could see in the left-hand column, that would be the district's current energy budget. And so for this example, let's say that that's $1 million. Now, through the project, we're able to, again, be laser focused on driving energy efficiency and reducing that utility budget to where in the middle column there, you have a new energy budget. We'll call that $500,000. So now with the difference between what you're currently paying today and what you would really continue paying for the foreseeable future, now that we were able to reduce that by $500,000, you have $500,000 of savings that, on one hand, goes towards your debt service payment, again, for all the upgrades that you received as part of the project. But on top of that, there's also that green positive cash flow bar there. Really the reason for that is, one, if there's any excess energy savings, all of that comes back to the district. There's no claim to any of those excess savings by either Energia or Amoresco. And on top of that, these projects are eligible for state aid reimbursement as well. And so when you think about the energy savings being used to cover the entirety of the principal for the financing for the project, the only thing that the state aid can be used for is interest on the borrowing. So once that interest is satisfied, the rest of that money comes back to the district, again, in the form of net positive cash flow. And so year over year, these projects, when you factor in state aid, drive additional positive revenue to school districts. And then the last column there on the right really just shows that after the debt service is paid for the project, after you're no longer using those energy savings to then make payments on the loan, all of that excess energy savings from your now newly established energy budget come back to the district in the form of positive cash flow, again, because that's a long-term reduction on your utility and operating budget. So with all that said, I'm going to pause here for a moment just to see if there were any questions on anything I went through so far. Okay, perfect. So last slide before I do turn it over to Matt here, just wanted to share some of the activity that we've taken with the district to date. And so really even prior to that first section there, back in February of this year, Energia worked with the district to do what we call a preliminary energy analysis, really just to see if there was an opportunity to do one of these projects, again, because the energy savings have to be substantial enough to help fund needed improvements in the district. And so after that process, we certainly found there was an opportunity. And so we moved forward with issuing a request for proposals on behalf of the district. And so that was to garner site-specific proposals from various different energy services companies, or ESCOs. And so then in June, in response to the RFP, we received 2 proposals from Ameresco and Energy Systems Group. And then Energia, along with district stakeholders, held interviews with each of the ESCOs. And that really brings us to this evening. So, of course, again, we wanted to attend and really give everybody an update, kind of share the progress that we've made to date. But ultimately, we're going to be seeking approval of a resolution to appoint Ameresco to proceed with what's known as the Comprehensive Energy Audit. I do want to note that this next phase is at no cost and no obligation to the district. Really what it is now is, instead of having competing contractors submitting proposals, we're now able to engage with one contractor, of course, again, with the district and with Energia, all working collaboratively to mold the final scope of work into what best aligns with your needs. So again, we have the RFP proposal that we received, and Matt's going to share some information about that. But certainly this next phase is a lot more collaborative, and really it'll let us mold the project into what will culminate in the final contract. And so if there are no questions at this point, I am going to pass it over to, again, Matt from Ameresco. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Justin. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Matthew Ferdinand. I'm the Business Development Manager for Ameresco. So we have a relatively brief presentation excuse me, discussing some of the highlights of our proposal, what we plan to work with Energy in the district during the comprehensive energy audit phase. So Ameresco is not exactly a household name. We don't make products you see in the wall, but that's also what makes us special. We're a completely independent company who has no parent organization or affiliation with utility companies and manufacturers. And what that allows us to do is work with any particular vendor or product that the district prefers within an energy performance contract. But we were founded in 2000, went public in 2010, and since that time, we've implemented over $14 billion of energy solutions projects. We've worked with over 8,000 different customers in a wide variety of markets, including federal and municipal governments, higher education, healthcare, public housing authorities, and many K-12 schools submitted here at Mount Sinai. This specific RFP for the EPC project, as with every EPC project, there's always a certain goals that you want to achieve for each one. So for this one in particular, there was a few. There was starting with the installation of solar photovoltaics, or PV, within the district, and we consider ground mount, roof mount, and carport or canopy options. Explore opportunities to make upgrades to schools' building controls system, or EMS system. Investigate mechanical upgrades throughout the district. Also, investigate the Inflation Reduction Act investment tax credit, direct pay, that's a lot of words I put together, impact on the EPC project and how to best leverage that to increase the scope of work. And then, if possible, include a curriculum enhancement program. So we were actually able to achieve every one of those in our project. Currently, the total project size is over $16.8 million. As Justin said before, this is all paid for through energy savings and the power generated from the solar PV systems. It also includes a cumulative cash flow over $7.6 million. Sorry, eyes are starting to go. It includes over $2.7 million of rebates between the federal government and the state of New York. And believe it or not, it's actually going to save 101.7% of the district's energy usage as it stands now. We can kind of talk a little bit more of that in a minute. But what we have here, this is called an ECM matrix. An ECM is an acronym for Energy Conservation Measures. The reason I wanted to show this is that you can see that each building in the district, all 3 schools, are going to be receiving significant upgrades. Some of the highlights of this include new LEDs on the interior and exteriors of the buildings, a new EMS system, which includes full pneumatic removal of existing controls in the district. Pneumatics, for those who may not know, is you can actually control air conditioning units and fans through air pressure that run from one corner of the building all the way through the other. At the time, in the 50s and 60s, that's state-of-the-art technology, but there's a better way to do it now, called DDC controls, or direct digital controls. So that's what we plan to do. We also have other measures, including solar PV arrays, which we'll talk a little bit more, transformer replacements. So those are, kind of not the, exciting ones, but there's also, infiltration reductions throughout the district. Those are one of the ones that, between that and the lighting, that the community and students will notice the most. Less drafty, more comfortable, pretty bright lights in the district. So we're going to highlight some of the solar PV arrays, because that's actually one of the big drivers of the project. Even going about 10 years ago, solar PV didn't make financial sense. The costs were high. There weren't really many incentives. But in recent years, the costs have come down, and the value of the power has only increased in Long Island, so it does make financial sense. So each building within the district can receive both roof mount and ground mount PV arrays. We can see here on the high school roof. It's a, sorry, my eyes are absolutely killing me right now, but just under 560 kilowatts on the high school. And that's this building alone, just in the roof, will provide over $105,000 in annual bill credit for what the district's currently paying. The power that's generated on site is actually sold to the grid at what's called the VDER rate, value distributed energy resources. It gets a little complicated, but ultimately, instead of feeding the building directly, it makes much more financial sense to feed the grid, because utility companies need that power, and they're going to pay the district handsomely if you're able to produce it for them. Here's a array setup for the middle school. Again, around over 550 kW, and right around $100,000 annual bill credit. And then at the elementary school, you can see here as well, this is what we have proposed on the rooftops. One of the exciting parts for this opportunity is that the elementary school could have a walkway solar installation. So what's nice about this, you can see it's long, skinny along the walkway, but it'll actually provide a dry, safe area for when the kids get off the bus to walk in, assuming the buses I haven't seen it in person yet, but when the buses pull up, kids get out, they get to have a walkway to enter school. And we actually have a couple of visuals. These are called renderings. So we work with a company who actually takes pictures of the existing area to figure out how these are actually going to look. So these are also customizable. They usually come with lights underneath, so it's not going to be a dark space. They'll be high enough so any potential emergency vehicles can get underneath there. But this is something we've seen installed in the past, and every district has seemed to love it, especially the kids. Not having to sprint out with their umbrellas to get blown sideways, on a rainy, blustery day. We did investigate opportunities at the high school and middle school as well for not walkway PV, but solar carports. So those are also considered in the project as well. But one of the things I also want to hit on is something that's near and dear to me. I actually grew up further upstate New York, just south of Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute. And so I knew growing up I was decent in mathematics. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it. So RPI actually donated a STEM laboratory, including CAD drawings and other equipment. And that actually changed my life, basically, because I knew at that point in time I should go to engineering school, which is why I'm here today. So when we get to discuss about providing a curriculum enhancement program for districts, I get excited about it because I can speak from experience. But as of right now, there's potential for a $75,000 STEM curriculum grant to be donated to the school district. It's something we've done in the past. In fact, this past November of last year, we presented a check for $100,000 to Ossining School District up in the Hudson Valley. That is going to go directly into their program. We have done other programs in the past, including solar-powered wagons that students from the vocational classes can build it, then other students of their science classes can operate it on cloudy days. They can see the power that's generated. Additionally, that students have the opportunity to learn from our development engineers, ask questions if students are interested in the energy world. Also, if the district's interested, we've done live demonstrations and classroom curriculum presentations for for STEM laboratory or for STEM programs and other science programs. So if the district's interested in that, we're more than happy to participate. But I'm sure there will be a few questions, so by all means, if anyone has questions, we're ready to help out.
One of the questions I had
Ooh, there we are.
was on the income that you would get. So that's basically, we would save money based on the energy costs that the new equipment is more efficient. And then the other part is that we sell our energy to the grid and then make that income.
Correct. Yep. So when it comes to replacing old antiquated equipment that are using energy in the district, correct. So you're actually using less energy on site. And so when it comes to the production of the solar PV, you do sell that to the grid. Even going back about 5 years ago, it was better to actually feed the buildings from the solar panels. But what's happening is as the world gets warmer and other power plants come offline, utility companies need as much power as they can get. So you actually paid per region based on your local substation. So you can figure out just how much power is coming in, how much power is going out. And the utility companies provide data on just how much that power is worth at that site. So that's how the calculations are put together.
You mentioned ground arrays. Where besides the walkway area did you have ground arrays on?
Yeah, we initially investigated 2 locations, one in the high school parking lot and one in the middle school parking lot. Carport, correct. Yep. And those are, of course, designed at a bare minimum of 13 feet 6 inches, which is the height of a fully loaded fire truck. No. We did investigate it, but we realized every square inch of green space here is used. Yep.
One other thing, with regard to the budget for the project, a lot of times solar arrays on... I'm sorry, I thought I was loud enough. A lot of times solar arrays on a rooftop require some type of improvement to the roof. Did your budget include, and do our roofs need improvement in order to have the solar arrays put on them?
Yep. So usually what happens is we look at the roof ages. So within the confines of the RFP, we were told to assume the roofs are new and don't need anything. But when it comes to improvements in the roofs, typically roofs don't really need a whole lot. In the Northeast, roofs are actually built incredibly strong because they need to be built for an ice storm, a snowstorm, then a repeat of an ice storm, maybe rain on top of that. So when it comes to structural review, we do look at that, but on average, they require no additional structural upgrades. But these are ballasted systems, meaning they actually sit on top of the roof, nearly eliminating almost all roof penetrations. And they also come, we work with the roofing manufacturer to get what's called slip pads to make sure the EPDM or the rubber membrane is the same exact material that's on the roof. Because if you have different membranes, they could actually have a chemical reaction and wear one another out. So that answers that. But in terms of the roof condition reports, we have architects and engineers actually go up on site, take testing, and provide information which we share with the district during the development process.
How long do the solar panels last?
A long time. 20 years ago, they're good for 10 years. Right now, they're good for up to 30 years. So we guarantee them for the life of the project, which is up to 18 years per New York State law. However, what we're seeing is the production value, or the degradation of the panels is much lower than they're even predicting, meaning they're providing more power for a longer period of time, even what's prescribed. So up to 30 years is an average panel.
So based off of what we saw, we'd have the first 15 years where we're paying for this project, and then we'd have about another 15 years worth of life, and then we'd have to redo this.
Correct, at least. So for 15 years, it's cash in the bank directly. And on top of that, right, I mean, we buy tier 1 panels. We buy the top of the line because it's better for us to make sure that we provide you with the best one because it's our guarantee. So at least 30 years is what you're looking at.
And they're guaranteed for the first 18 years?
Correct, as a part of the project.
And speaking about that debt repayment period that you mentioned when you were going over the financial overview, I guess, if you will, that relies on state and federal aid.
Correct.
So do you provide any protection to the district if the state and federal aid changes throughout that debt repayment period?
Correct. So what's nice about this is the rebates typically are from NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority. But in Long Island, there are no real NYSERDA rebates. A lot of this is coming from the federal government. So in order for us to carry the cash flow and guarantee that, New York State is going to make us guarantee the amount of rebates that make the positive cash flow positive. So we have to guarantee those.
Great.
Just worst case scenario, assuming repairs do need to be made or improvements do need to be made to the roofs, I would assume that's included in the total cost of the project and it wouldn't necessarily be a capital expenditure?
Yeah, so if there's a repair, if we've identified something, then we come to the table with the district. We say, okay, the project can support X number of dollars of repairs. Are you interested in making some repairs to have the panels go on? But ultimately, we have to do investigation, figure out, is the roof okay to put panels on?
And based off of today's analysis, your company's guaranteeing 101.7%?
In today's analysis, yes. Now, mind you, once we get into the actual design phase, we want to actually reduce that number just a bit, because as we spend more time identifying additional energy saving measures, we might actually have to reduce the total size of the PV system, because if you go above 110%, you're considered a power plant, and that's a whole new set of regulations. So ideally, you want to be between 85 and 100% is a sweet spot to be in.
And how many schools have you worked with?
Oh, Amoresco, we've done, let me think about this, 50 schools in New York State, across the country. We've worked with over 600, and specific to New York State, over $250 million of energy solutions projects. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you very much. Look forward to seeing everyone again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Just wanted to give a couple of quick updates. I'm sure everyone has noticed that we have updated our website. We're moving into the next century, and we have some wonderful things. If you haven't clicked in, we have some amazing videos in there from every school site, so make sure you've clicked in there to check it out. Something else I want to point out, if you haven't been on campus and you haven't noticed, I don't know if everybody realized we had this beautiful sign at our middle school. It was hidden behind a tree. Well, that sign got moved into a beautiful spot. So next time you're on campus, if you're watching from home, make sure you come and you look at the middle school. It's now showing it was moved, and it looks amazing. So congratulations, middle school, on that one. We had some great student events happen this summer. Yes, over the summer. We had 3 students, 2 seniors who have left us and went on to college, and 1 incoming senior, become Eagle Scouts. And they had their Eagle Scout Court of Honor on July 27th. It was great to see them. Julian Gunnell, Alexander Polyansky, and Lucas Skubalaskas. How do I say that, Pete? Okay, not saying it great, but it was great. It was such a great event to see everybody show up there. It was a Saturday morning, and really nice to see all the years of work that they put into that. And last Friday, August 16th, Pete went, represented the district, going to Brookhaven National Lab to see 3 of our students who did their project for their summer work. Carrie Wang, Hadia Samin, and Nicholas Wang. And so great to see our kids doing summer projects on science. Congratulations to them. So one of the things I want to talk about, the strategic planning updates. Before we kick off the school year, I did want to talk about some of the things that had gotten updated that I kind of cleaned up over the summer based on the work that was done at the end of the school year. We had updated our vision, our mission, beliefs, goals, and some key areas that we were working on, and I wanted to share it with the Board of Education so that we can work on it and kick off the school year ready, because we want to work on some of the actions during the school year. So we updated our vision, taking the old vision from Mount Sinai and looking at it to update it for this century. and also looking at some of our current beliefs and the work that we were doing based on our surveys throughout the district. So our current vision that we project we would like the board to approve of is that the Mount Sinai School District will be an exemplary learning community where students become lifelong learners ready to thrive as responsible, productive, and engaged citizens in a global society. Each school will offer a safe, robust learning environment with rigorous academic programs, extracurricular activities, and diverse educational and vocational pathways, helping students identify their strengths and passions and develop essential life skills. Our students are the community's most valuable asset. Our mission was updated to state that the mission of the Mount Sinai School District is to provide all students with an excellent academic environment that ensures all learners reach their highest potential. Our learning community will nurture curiosity, problem-solving strategies, critical thinking, and social-emotional skills. Each learner will be engaged in acquiring life skills and knowledge, developing strong work habits and a healthy lifestyle, becoming independent collaborative thinkers, gaining an appreciation of the arts, and achieving proficiency in technology. Teachers will collaborate and engage in professional development to meet the challenges of an evolving academic environment while preparing students for post-secondary ambitions. Families will be active participants in the education of our students. We will promote an inclusive culture of acceptance, respect, and integrity, guiding students to become lifelong learners. And we decided to take the values and some of the things we had said. We had some just statements on our webpage, and so instead we decided to take the phrase Mount Sinai and come up with what we think we want the future to look like in Mount Sinai. So we felt that we wanted to motivate students to reach their highest potential, offer robust learning environments and varied curricula, uphold a culture of respect, trust, and professionalism, nurture curiosity, critical thinking, and problem-solving skills, thrive as lifelong learners in the global community, strive for excellence in teaching and learning, invest in collaboration with families in the community, navigate evolving academic environments and standards, accommodate all learning needs with differentiated instruction, and integrate arts appreciation, technology, proficiency, and social-emotional skills. And so I hope that the theme that you see is that we're looking at a future, a long-term future in the district, and looking ahead at how we can improve the district. So I think everybody was future-focused and how we can move forward as part of the strategic plan. So what we've decided to do is create a title for our strategic plan, which is Mustang Pride, Building Our Future 2030. So within the next 6 months before January, we would like to complete the pieces of our action steps for these 4 key areas, which are improving culture and engaging stakeholders, teaching and learning, supporting well-being, and safe and sustainable schools. And what we'd like to do, and we'd like to suggest, and hopefully the board agrees, is we'd like to create committees that would represent each of these key areas. And we would like to invite stakeholders to be part of these committees so that we can create the actions to develop the plans that we can succeed by 2030 to address these specific areas. And what I'd like to do is point out some of the key areas that those areas were, that people had touched upon that they wanted us to focus in on. And what goals were kind of created under those areas. So the first one, which was improving culture and engaging stakeholders, the goal was really to foster an inclusive, fair, and engaging educational environment by clearly outlining expectations and enhancing communication and transparency, actively involving teachers, families, and students in district activities and decision-making processes. So what are the key areas people want? They want clear communication, they want active participation, clear expectations and accountability, fairness and confidentiality, inclusive extracurricular activities, and family participation. For teaching and learning, the goal is to create a learning environment that prepares graduates for real-world challenges through high-quality instructional practices and comprehensive support for educators. The key areas are stakeholder collaboration, curriculum and assessment consistency, and support for educators. For the third, supporting well-being, the goal is to prioritize the social, emotional, and physical well-being of students and staff, preparing them for post-secondary success and life beyond school. The key areas are mental health awareness and support, life skills education, inclusive and safe environment, and wellness programs. And for the fourth area, which is safe and sustainable schools, The goal is to ensure that district facilities and resources are safe, healthy, modern, and equipped to support effective teaching and learning. Key areas are safety, health, technology, transparency and financial management, and facility improvements. So those are the key areas that we would like to look at as far as a strategic plan. I hope that the board will consider these areas and you approve of those vision, mission, and belief statements. And we'll be gathering stakeholder feedback as far as joining committees, and that'll be coming out once the school year gets started. Our upcoming events, we have next week our JV and varsity sports officially begin. This week was the football season started, but the JV and varsity sports officially begin. We have pre-K orientation and the class of 2029 orientation next week, 5th grade open house and kindergarten orientation, Labor Day, superintendent conference days, and then the first day of school. And that is my report.
Great. Thank you, Dr. Crescioni. Nick, can you read number 4, personnel, please?
Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves personnel items A through C as listed below.
Can I have a second? Second by Chuck. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. Sure. Yep.
Okay, I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that we have a retirement that I just wanted to let the community know about. Our Executive Director for Educational Services, Dr. Williams Timo, has retired. She's been with the district for 25 years, and we would like to acknowledge her service for all of those years. We appreciate that service. And to replace Dr. Timo, we have hired a deputy superintendent, so I would just like to congratulate Dr. Peter Branscombe, who will be joining us as of September 1st. Thank you. Congratulations, Dr. Branscombe.
Chuck, if you could, number 5, action items.
A, action items, educational, meeting on special education.
All right. Can I have a second? Second by Christie. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. Christie, can you read number 6, please?
Action items, business, resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education hereby approves action items A through L as listed below.
Okay. Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Second by Chuck. All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Carried. All right. What's that? Sure.
Okay. I also wanted to acknowledge we have a new guidance counselor that we just appointed this evening, Christina, how do I say your last name? Angelo. Congratulations, Christina, for joining us. She's coming from the Lynbrook School District, so very happy to have you join us. Congratulations.
All right. Any questions? No?
Dr. Crescioni, I just want to say great job on getting that middle school sign moved. Looks great. Looks great.
All right. Motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Nick, second. Christie, all in favor? Great. Thank you, everybody.